good afternoon. Welcome to episode 2 of Castiron Bites. The episode's so great, we wanted to do it twice. And thank you, Stacia Walling from Those Cookies Dough, for joining us today. Welcome to Castiron Bites.
Thank you for having me.
We're so excited to have you. Thanks you for your grace from last week. We had some technical difficulties, AKA Mark set it up wrong, but that happens. But I'm so excited to have you here today. And maybe for folks who you haven't met yet or haven't met you, I'll just say that we were talking beforehand. Stacia is one of the top performers on the platform, and she popped off so fast. This morning you were saying, well, I'm just still learning and getting new, but you're crushing it, and gave a really great reason, one of the great reasons for us to talk to you today. But maybe tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got started, and what you're up to.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Stacia Walling. I'm the owner of Those Cookies Dough. And as I was explaining to Mark prior to this, I actually didn't start out as a baker. I'm more of an artist, creator. And I've always been in the mindset for, if it's something that I think I can do, I'd rather try it myself than pay people to do it. So my very first set that I ever made was for my baby shower for my son, who will be 4 in actually just a couple weeks. But they were terrible. They were so bad. And I said I would never make cookies ever again.
Did they look bad and taste bad, or?
No, they actually tasted really good. I had no idea what I was doing in regards to making royal icing or the consistencies. They were so off. I was flabbergasted at the time it took. It took me an entire 8-hour day from start to finish to make like 18 cookies, which still hasn't really changed, but I didn't realize that they took that long. I said I would never do them. And then for his first birthday, I tried again. They were a little bit better. I still said I didn't want to do it, but I still refused to pay. So what really kicked me off, my sister had her daughter in April of 2022, and I tried to make cookies for her to surprise her. And I went and I researched all the things about royal icing and how to make the consistencies, and they came out really well. I still didn't think I would ever sell them, but my sister convinced me that people would buy them. So that's kind of how it all started. I didn't ever think that I would run a cookie business. I just like to make them.
Yeah, it's funny. Thank you for sharing. I'm a student of the game, right? So being an owner, being a CEO, and like building a company like you're doing, you didn't say this, but even, for every CEO and owner that I know, there is this sense of, am I good enough? Like, do I have the skills? Do I have the ability? Like, this imposter syndrome thing is very real.
Why me? Yeah.
Like, who's going to do that for, like, who's going to buy my cookies? Are they good enough? All that stuff. I don't know an owner or a CEO or a leader that doesn't feel that way. How do you deal with that voice in your head, or do you? Because you went from saying, you started off by saying, I'm not a baker, but guess what? You're one of the most successful bakers that's on cast iron. So like, how do you think about that?
Yeah, so it's interesting because, as I mentioned, I had no desires to do this. My sister lives in a bigger city, an area where there probably are more prevalent cookiers in the area. I'm from a very small town where it's not really something, you don't see, bakeries like this popping up. So it was never on my radar something to do. When my sister mentioned, like, I would pay for these and other people would pay for these, I'm like, there's no way. And I was just kind of playing around with it, and I created my Instagram page, and I wasn't sure if I was going to go live with it. I didn't know if I was going to invite people, and my sister shared my page with pictures on her Instagram. And because of that, it just kind of forced me into it. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going live because I've got followers starting to come in. People are seeing my cookies, and I had one girl reach out before I even started selling or even looked into how to do it, asked me for a set of cookies. Amazing. And so I was like, oh my gosh, okay, maybe people do want, custom cookies from me.
I think that, well, we know that they do. So you started about a year ago, year and a half?
I started about a year and a half ago. So it was
Okay.
May 2022.
And without sharing numbers you're not comfortable sharing, like dollars, like instead of dollars, like orders, like what is like a typical week or a month look like for you in terms of volume?
Um,
Share whatever you're
I've
comfortable or
had as
not at all.
many as 15 dozen in a week.
Mhm.
Those are weeks that I don't sleep. So I'm still trying to find the right amount of orders. I'm the type of person, I'm not good at saying no. Thank God for your availability calendar on cast iron. Can say no for me for the most part.
There you go.
But I do still squeeze in some orders here and there. But I would say a typical week would be probably about 7 dozen or 7 dozen cookies, depending on how many orders that falls into.
I told you my dog would want to come in during this, and he does. So that's a lot, and that's certainly very busy. What has been, if you had to if you could talk to yourself a year and a half ago, just as you're getting started, what advice would you give yourself, knowing what you felt and thought then, and what you know? What would you tell yourself?
Um, I'd say the biggest word of advice for myself is kind of going along with what we were talking about. Don't undervalue yourself. I know when I was just starting out, I was looking up other custom sugar cookie decorators, their prices, what they're offering. And I was like, there's no way people would charge or would pay what pay that price for what I'm offering. And I started very, very low with my prices. And as most businesses, as my talents grew, I've increased my prices and things like that. But I still find it hard to not undervalue my talent.
Mhm.
I have gotten better about that. But I think the biggest thing is stay true to yourself. Don't try to be what other people are. It's very
Hmm.
easy to compare yourself, your talents, but you're unique and what you're offering is unique. Um,
Yeah,
Try
it's
not to
special.
compare yourself to anybody.
How did you get your pricing? Where did you land? Where are you pricing now, and how did you get to that?
Um, so my current pricing for a standard dozen of cookies is $70.
Okay.
And that's my base price. Some of it depends on the intricacy of what people are wanting. If they want like metallic details, for example, doesn't seem like much. But if I could show you how long it takes to add metallic details to a cookie, you'd understand why that's an additional charge. Um, it's a lot of the pricing, it's very hard for pricing. I get a lot of messages about how to price their cookies for a lot of new bakers. And it's difficult because a lot of that falls within the location that you're at.
Mhm.
So um, I'm able to ship cookies within New York State. I have a lot of orders that I send down to New York City. So I'm able to charge a little bit more because the cost of cookies down in the city is higher than a small rural area like where I'm at. But one thing that I follow for a guide for my prices, if I'm always booked and I'm always feeling overwhelmed, my prices are too low.
Yeah.
The thing to keep in mind is this is a luxury item for people. Um, you're not going to meet everyone's needs. There are people that are going to tell you your prices are too high, but you need to factor in the amount of time and talent and energy that goes into running a business like this.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, thank you for that. I think there's a couple of things. One that makes me think of, one is that these are special foods or special cookies for special events. People aren't buying them for Tuesday, right? Like there's always
Yeah.
something. There's always some reason they're celebrating, and they tend to be a little bit more open with their wallet at that point. Also,
Yeah.
um, how how do you make sure you're selling your cookies at a profit? And do you know your profit margins? Have you done that math?
I have on occasion, I know what my ingredients cost, and I know roughly how long it takes me to make a dozen cookies. So that's kind of factored into my profits. I know I will never be able to make um, six figures, by charging for custom cookies. But that's also where my business is transforming into selling digital products that also help to bring in income, which is essentially passive income. I'm selling my cookie recipes and my royal icing recipes that are my own. I've spent months working them to make sure I have a cookie that doesn't spread, a cookie that tastes really good, because there's a lot of cookies out there that taste like cardboard. So they taste very good. My royal icing is foolproof. It's very easy to work with. So that's all stuff that I've been putting a lot of my time and energy into to allow me to still tailor my small town without overcharging, but to also compensate for additional income is by selling. I do online courses now for beginners and my recipes and things like that. And I still have more in the works. So in order for me to offset that and keep my prices reasonable, that's kind of where I'm transforming my business.
That's great. And I popped your URL into the chat here. So we should say that Stacia does teach people how to do this and is an expert. And you can already tell. But feel free to go check that out and support Stacia there. Stacia, what's the biggest surprise that what has most surprised you in this journey from I'm not a baker to I'm a baker plus a teacher plus a coach plus a mom? Like what's your biggest surprise?
My biggest surprise, okay, so I have two. One goes into the actual cookie making, and that is the time that it takes to create a set of cookies. I think a lot of people, I hear this actually quite a bit. If you follow me on Instagram, I post cookie reels of me decorating cookies. They're sped up to under a minute, and most cookies take on average probably 10 minutes per cookie to decorate. And that's not including drying time, adding details, obviously the baking and the mixing of colors. It's a very time extensive.
Yeah.
It's not a hobby, it's my job now, but it is very timely to make these. It's
a lot of work, more than you imagine.
It takes a lot of time. So when I was doing this part-time, I was working full-time up until May of this year. I would put my two little ones to bed and I would start decorating cookies from about 7 p.m. and I would go until about midnight and wake up and I would do my whole routine again. It's something you have to be passionate about. You have to love it because you are going to put in a lot of hours to get to that point. The other surprising thing is I'm shocked at how many people enjoy watching cookie videos. I can't believe and I'm not shocked in the fact that I used to watch them before I started and I was like, these are mesmerizing. I love watching it. I want to be able to do that. But to grow my account to close to 20,000 followers on Instagram, and a lot of that's just because people like watching cookie decorating videos.
Yeah. Can you tell the difference between people who are just watching versus people who are learning from you? Do you have a sense?
Not necessarily. So it's been fairly new that I've been implementing my new digital products and things with people coming in. But I do have my inbox, my direct messages on Instagram have changed a lot from people looking for orders to people asking me questions about how to do certain things. So I have seen a shift in my followers of people that are more there to find out how they too can decorate rather than just there to watch.
Yeah, that's neat. All right, so we've got, I actually want to talk more about how you balance your personal and professional life, right? So we're all working from home these days. I'm in New York. Lindsay, I see people, we've got Florida and Cedar Rapids and Omaha and another New York stater. And, I've got a kid at home, I've got a dog, my wife works from home, and I'm running a company. So how do you, and you work in your kitchen, right? So, or maybe not, but for the most part, right? How do you, how can you be a mom to two little ones and this business owner? That's really hard.
It is hard. So my son is in school full time. and my daughter goes to daycare. So I have my day free, which is essential. I wouldn't be able to do it with 2 toddlers running around. As you mentioned, I work in my kitchen. That's where I do all my baking and my mixing of icing. I did create a cookie decorating table, which I have a reel of how I created that. In what was my work office is now still an office, but my cookie decorating room. So I think the hardest part is being able to separate your personal life from your work life. I'm still not good at this. This is still something I'm learning. I still do cookies on the weekends. I still decorate cookies after my kids go to bed. Things come up during, the week. I've got events, I've got to pick the kids up. So I still find myself working beyond the hours that I originally have set for myself. So I think that's the hardest thing to juggle is the separation. I'm trying to find a better balance where I'm not doing cookies on the weekends. Most of my orders get picked up on the weekend, but they're all packaged and ready to go. So I would say that's the hardest thing is to not be in my business mode all the time, because even when I sit down after a long night, I'm usually getting on my iPad and I'm drawing designs or creating cookie cutters. It never shuts off.
No, it's hard. My wife says that I'm MJ is my alter ego when I'm in work mode. She's like, okay, MJ, like something will come up and I'll say, well, let's put a plan together and figure out how we're going to make dinner tonight. It's like, okay, MJ, I got it. Right. Like, how do you take care of yourself? What do you do for you, Stacia? And this is, by the way, I have to tell you, I imagine this conversation I don't imagine, this is the exact conversation I want to have on the show, is because we're not alone. We feel alone, and there's people who are doing what we're doing and what you're trying to do. And so I think it's just helpful to hear from other owners about your life. And thank you for sharing. So do you take care of yourself? How do you take care of yourself?
Yeah.
Woof.
So
with the dogs.
I know my people are walking by. I need to get better at prioritizing myself and having me time. Like I said, what I'm trying to do is balance my time and trying to keep my business within my business hours, which is, 8 to 5. When my kids aren't here, I'm trying to open up my evenings so that I'm not thinking or creating or decorating in my business, which it's very hard, but it's also, this is my life. This is my passion. I lay in bed at night and I think, oh, that'd be a good set. I should make that, or, things like that. So I need to get better at self-care for myself. I know I do. My husband and I just went out of town for a few days this past weekend without the kids. So I had a little bit of quiet time. I was able to sleep in, getting over this laryngitis, which wasn't fun, but such is life. So you've got to be able to adjust, and I'm still learning to adjust.
Yeah, it's a constant. I'm probably twice your age, and a constant struggle for me to find that balance. My son said to me this weekend, because he's super hardworking, and he said he took Saturday off. He's a college student, and he said, I took Saturday off. He said, because if I don't take care of myself, or if I don't give my body the break, my body will tell me I need to take the break. Right. Yes. And I was like, oh, that's really a good way to think about it. If you don't do it, it's going to come for you. And I've definitely learned that.
You'll have to take it eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. We're sort of paying that in, and it's going to come back to us. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about a little bit more about business. So the holidays are coming up. Halloween's next week, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, lots of cookies. Any advice or tips on how to maximize holiday sales, or how to have a successful and sane holiday?
Yeah. So again, this is only my second holiday that I'm coming into. Holiday pre-sale. I know Christmas is like the bee's knees of all, bakers pre-sales. Last year, for example, I know we were talking about this. I could not believe the amount of sales that I had for just Christmas orders, for me being a brand new business. But there are a few things that I have found help to bring sales in, that make your cookies or your whatever you're selling stand out. I would say the first thing is your photos that you're taking. It's very crucial to be able to take well lit, whether it's natural lighting or artificial lighting photos that really show the detail of what you're selling in a nice, clean setting. People love to see that, make it aesthetically pleasing. The second bit of advice, if you're promoting it on social media, make sure you're promoting it. You know what I mean? Have it in your stories every day, make a post about it. You can boost a post, or if you want to throw out, you know, if you want to have people like do a giveaway that brings more people into you. I know sometimes it's difficult depending on where you are, if you can only do local pickup, or if you can do shipping, that might depend, you know, on your cottage food laws and things like that. But advertise yourself. Don't be ashamed. Yeah. Don't be afraid to advertise yourself. Get it out there. Not everyone's going to see it on the first time you post it.
That's so huge. I think even I'm like, oh, well, I posted it once. And I got, you know, it's like you have to post it again and again and again and again and again and again.
Those algorithms, they work against you a lot of the time. So you've got to keep posting it, keep sharing it, keep talking about it, because people will spread it through word of mouth. Let's see. Oh, so and utilize, if you have an email list, utilize your email list. Email campaigns, email lists are so huge for businesses. And with Cast Iron, you can create your email list. You can email your customers if they've, you know, have signed up for your email list, if they're prior customers, send it to them because they may not have seen it. I have a lot of customers that are on Instagram. They're through word of mouth. They reach out to me via phone. So if I can email them, then they know that it's out there. So that's a huge tool that I think is very underutilized by small businesses.
Thank you for sharing. I totally agree. I think the data shows that email is just the bee's knees.
It is the bee's knees. You make a lot more profit off of your emails than you do on social media.
Yeah, and I'll to your photo comment. Our guest last week on the show, or 2 weeks ago, she taught us how to take great pictures with our phones, and has a course that we can link to that's a discount for folks if they want to take even better pictures.
That's great. Very important.
Yeah, super great. We have a question in the chat about shipping. How do you ship in New York? From Sterling, who's also in New York.
Yeah, shipping can be tough. It definitely requires more packaging. I use those like styrofoam peanuts. I have a huge box that I bought from Amazon, I think it was. At least for shipping sugar cookies, they are pretty sturdy cookies. Details can be tough if you have like florals and things like that, but I heat seal all of my cookies, and I try to lay them flat, and in between each layer, I put like crinkle paper, and I put them in a bakery box inside of a shipping box. So it is, you know, you do have to put in a lot more time and a lot more supplies for it. So my biggest advice is make sure you're charging for your shipping, because it's, you want it to get there timely. You want to make sure it gets there prior to their event date, and without being broken. So my biggest key, if you're shipping sugar cookies, you want nothing to move in your box. So once you have your bakery box that's pretty tightly packed with your flat cookies, you put it around, like surrounded with your styrofoam in your box, and you make sure nothing moves. And that's really all you can do. I know some people use individual like packets of like the bubble wrap. They have like little sleeves you can put them in. I don't feel the need to do that. I've knock on wood, have never had any issues with my shipping. But that is another option that I do see people use.
Yeah, so I'm going to venture to say I've had more cookies shipped to me than maybe anybody I know, because I buy them all the time from everybody here. And Stacia, yours, we've had, you did a big party for us and a gift for a friend. Your packaging is great, like, because they come and they're nothing. I wrote down nothing. You don't want anything to move in your box, because I've had the opposite. I've had things show up broken and messy. Yes. And so definitely the heat sealing individual, the extra packaging around it is huge. And Sterling, in your admin, you can set the price for shipping. And again, I find, I don't know what you charge for shipping, Stacia, I don't remember, but it's like, I'm always disheartened when I see someone say $3 for shipping, because like, put in a flat rate, put in 15 bucks, put in 20 bucks for, and don't be afraid. When we will be integrating third-party shipping, we just haven't done it yet, Sterling, but don't be afraid to like put in a chunky number there, because if you're spending $200 on,
exactly, you've got extra supplies and you want to make sure that they get there safe. So don't take it out of your own pocket. If people want them bad enough, they'll pay the shipping price.
Yeah, I'm taking so many things from this, and I'm thinking about the follow-up video I'm going to do about this, and there's so many different pieces here, but one is about the confidence in yourself to not be afraid to try this and do this, because you are good enough and you are talented. Don't be afraid to price your stuff the right way. Don't be afraid to market yourself and put yourself out there. That confidence and belief in yourself, you got to fake it till you make it. And by the way, you've got it already. I mean, everyone here is doing that. So, all right. So Stacia, we're getting to the part of our rapid fire. Couple of questions for you. I know they're not that crazy. This is cast iron. Come on. All right. Number one, what's the favorite meal you've ever had?
Oh gosh, a favorite meal I've ever had. Honestly, I would just say a filet mignon, mashed sweet potatoes on the side, and some kind of seasoned vegetables. Just a meal like that at a restaurant is just like, that's on your menu. I want that.
That's awesome. What's in the wine glass right there next to you? That's where my head goes to. I'm like, what am I drinking with that?
I'm a beer drinker. I'm a craft beer drinker.
All right. Which beer would you want?
Ooh. I like sours. There's a local brewery around here. Beer Tree is what it's called, and they have the best fruity sour beers ever. I love all of them.
Amazing. Okay.
Not everyone's
question.
taste.
Hey, believe in yourself. Question number two. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Be yourself. Be authentic. It's so hard to be authentic, but once you find yourself, you're confident in yourself. We were just talking about that. That's where you're going to see yourself flourish. Don't worry about what people think of you. Don't worry about, if you feel like you feel stupid in something that you're posting, who cares? Just do it.
Right. I love it. All right. Last question is, who inspires you? So tag somebody virtually, and maybe we'll tag them for real, that we should look to maybe for another conversation like this, or something that inspires you, or someone that inspires you.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. One of them is Laura, who I know is a big cast iron person. Yep. She has been one of my favorites to follow. She's one person that when I first started with cast iron, I didn't know anything about cast iron. You guys were still developing all the amazing products and services that you offer. And I remember signing into, it was some kind of a webinar, and she was going through and doing Instagram audits. And it was almost a year ago at this time. And she was auditing my Instagram. And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, is she gonna like what I have? Is she not gonna like what I have? She's an amazing artist to follow.
Yeah, amazing person too. We've learned a ton from her. I really love working with her. That's amazing. Anything else you want to share with us, Stacia, as we're wrapping up?
Not really. Just, go in, use all the tools that I just gave you for your holiday pre-sales, market your pre-sales, utilize your email list, take really good photos, and I hope everyone has a successful pre-sale.
Thank you so much. So I can't thank you enough for bringing the energy, the learnings, the excitement. I knew this was going to be great. It was definitely worth waiting for. Thank you. Make sure everybody on the call to learn more about Stacia and check out the digital products, the classes and things that she's building there at thosecookiesdough.co, not .com. And as always, castiron.me. If you have anything, hit us up with questions or ideas. This is episode 2. We have an amazing lineup of folks. And my hope and dream are that there are conversations like this, where you get to have an authentic conversation with a really talented, wonderful person. So Stacia, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And tune
Thank you,
in
Mark.
next week for Cast Iron Bites episode 3. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.